Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Another custom gun video today. Airsoft gun that is, this is not real. And this one that I'm going to talk through today is my Umarex Elite Force Glock 45. Now this is one of the pistols I have. As you can probably guess watching my videos previously, I've got quite a few different airsoft replicas. And that goes the same for pistols as it does for every other kind of a replica that I've got, and this probably is my go-to. So I'm absolutely obsessed with this platform, the Glock 45. I used to kind of play around with some other different pistols, but I actually now have three of these. One I bought as actually a kind of just parts out piece. I needed an extra piece for one of mine, so I did it, but this is probably the one that I use the most. I will do another video on my other one, as well as all of the other pistols in my collection that I've customized and built out. So don't worry, if you're excited to watch those videos, hit the subscribe button below, notifications on, and you will see those videos pop up. I'm trying to put one out a day, but today I thought I would go through probably the most favorite pistol I've ever had, and the one that I use, if I'm thinking, what am I going to use today? This is actually the one that I'm going to go for. So this is the Elite Force Umarex Glock 45. Elite Force make a lot of different Glocks. I think it's VFC is kind of who actually builds them, but it goes under Elite Force, and Umarex who give the licensing from Glock to get the licensing from Glock to build these airsoft replicas. So this one, as I said, is the 45. Now the 45, if you're not kind of a Glock person, which I wasn't really until I started getting into airsoft versions, this is the 45. And what that means is it's basically the full-sized grip of the 17, so that's your full-size Glock, but the slide length is actually the size of the 19. So it's almost, for me, getting best of both worlds. I've got bigger hands, as I talk about a lot, and so for me, grabbing the 17 is great because it actually fits my hand. I don't have the kind of hand overhang on here, which I do get with the 19. The 19 is the more compact version, and I don't like how long or how big the actual 17 is. So basically I get the kind of grip of the 17 and I get the barrel length of the 19. What I was actually using previous to this was the Glock 26, and I actually have a real steel version of that as well. It is the small compact Glock. It's tiny. And the reason that I liked it so much is because when I was drawing my secondary, normally if I was going into kind of like a building or going into like the town area in my local site, being able to just grab it and then kind of come around corners, it's basically almost the length of just longer than my finger. And that meant that it was almost like I could just point where I wanted to shoot and it would just work. I would normally run size 17 mags in it because it's the compact Glock. You can use whatever length mags in it that you want, but it was small. And if I was using it kind of regularly, it just, what I've realized with the real steel one is that it's not the same as having an airsoft one. When you have recoil going through and your hand isn't gripping, it will rip out of the palm of your hand. Whereas with the airsoft, it doesn't matter as much. But I kind of thought, you know what, I like the 17, I like the length of the 19 or the 26, let's try this out. So I got one of these and I haven't looked back. This is the only Glock now that I use. And so that kind of runs through the dimensions of why I went for this. This looks very different to how it comes when you buy it. So now if you're buying this outright, which is the kind of common price if you're in the US, it's about $180, and it will actually come looking more like this. So it won't actually have this texture on it, which is what I've put onto all of my replicas now, and it will have a slightly different trigger, but just as a comparison, that is kind of the difference. That's what it's going to look like. This is what I've kind of turned mine into. So I'll put that to one side for now. If we want to do any more comparisons, I'll get that out. But I've done quite a few changes to this, mainly probably more aesthetic, but actually there is some internal stuff done as well. I'm not going to open it up to talk through the internal stuff because, as I've said in previous discussion videos, YouTube will demonetize this or take it down because it looks, I think, like I am disassembling or assembling a real firearm, which is against their community policy. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of talk you through what the internal changes are. So as I said, I spent $180 on this. I think it's worth it. Elite Force and Umarex, the Glocks that they make are all very, very good quality. And the other thing that I found is the performance is very good. The Tokyo Marui ones I haven't played around with as much apart from my 26, But I think these, if you're using green gas, you want a metal slide because the Tokyo Marui ones come with a plastic slide, and you would like the good performance. You can't really go wrong buying one of the Elite Force Umarex Glocks. So if you're thinking about it and you're thinking, should I get it? Yes, I would say they're good. I actually went to Evike when I bought, not this one, actually I think another Glock before this, and I said to them, hey, what Glock should I get if I want the best one out there? And they were like, it's very, very hard to beat what this is. So they're around the $150 to $200 mark, and I think they're great for what they are. However, I don't like keeping things normal, which is, you know, not great for my wallet. But what I've ended up doing to this is quite a few changes just to the actual structure in the exterior. The main one being this. So actually it looks very similar to the slide that this will come with. As you can see, it is kind of very, very similar. The big difference probably is that this is not RMR cut. So if you want to put a red dot sight on this, you can do it. But what you're going to need to do is get an RMR adapter plate that basically comes out of these sights, sits on top, and it's going to sit a lot higher on here than this, which is a cut slide, which allows me to basically attach this little red dot here onto the RMR plate and then sink it into the slide. So as you can see, I'll show you this here, just so you guys, I'll talk through the red dot in a second. But as you guys can see, if I point it at my face, which probably is not the best thing to do, try and like literally orientate this from here. So there's my red dot there. And as you can see, it's very, very low to the slide. So that is one of the things that this slide does. The other thing is it's built of aluminium, and it's a more solid build with an interior and an exterior barrel. Sorry, the slide and the exterior, the outer barrel. And it also, like the actual licensed one, is fully traded and licensed, but this is actually more expensive than the actual replica. So this is from Bomber, and it's their CNC aluminium slide kit for the Umarex VFC Glock 45 gas blowback series. This is $196. So it's about $15 more than the actual replica is. So basically I've just doubled the price of this. Now we're going to go next to just the price going absolutely off the rails, which is this. You can get repros of this, and this is the Trijicon SRO red dot sight. It is absolutely incredible. I actually bought a Hollow Sun red dot for another one of my pistols that I was using before this. And again, it's a red dot, it's expensive, it's really cool, but it's a lot more compact and small. And what I love with this is the actual, and I've just kind of shown you guys and then taken it away. But what I love with this is the window. Like the window on it is massive, and it may not be the prettiest thing. Let me just show you guys this here. There you go. It may not be the prettiest thing, but as you can see, when that red dot is around the edges, it does not lose any clarity. And if you get one of the repro versions of this, you can probably get a repro for about $50, $60. That is not the case. Like, so when I bring this up to my eye and both my eyes are open, that I can pick that dot up anywhere. And so the actual target acquisition on this is so easy and so good, but it's $550. It's real. You can put it onto a real steel Glock or a real steel anything which runs an RMR plate, but it's three times more expensive than the actual replica is. Again, I always get real steel sights. I can resell this probably for fairly close to what I paid for it, and people always want them. So, you know, some people don't think it's the prettiest thing. I'm actually very used to it because it is a big window on the actual replica. But I would say in terms of red dots, of what I've played with, micro red dots for pistols, this is the best thing by a mile that I've ever played with. But it's $550. Hence why I've put this on top of it. And so this doesn't really look like this. This actually is a little rubberized kind of cap to it, and that's a screen protector. It probably will not stand up to a BB. In fact, I'm 99% sure that it won't stand up to a BB. So if you're going to spend that kind of money on a red dot that you can switch between your replicas, put one of these on. And that is a screen protector. I got it from JK Army. I think it was about $30, but it is 100% worth it just to put it on there so that you end up not smashing your sight and then not having to try and get it repaired, or going back to Trijicon and kind of saying, hey, this is broken, can you please try and fix it for me? So that is expensive, but I think if you've got the sight, it's worth it. I will put a list down below of all of the different upgrades that I've done to this, the customizations, and the prices. So if you guys see something you like, you want some questions to ask, you can put it in the comments below, or you can just reference there what the prices are and what it could be. I'll give you guys an idea of just that. That's the slide rack there. So it's a similar weight to the normal one, but it just basically means that I've now got that there, which, you know, for me, I don't think you need it with an airsoft gun. It's not like you're going to be really taking that rangy shots, but it makes it feel really cool, and actually just being able to shoot faster. The red dot does make a big difference. If I'm on my like electronic target, that red dot, I can set a much higher score because I'm not trying to kind of like judge it from the iron sights. If I'm shooting through an iron sights, I will kind of line them up, but a lot of the time I'll almost shoot from muscle memory a lot more. And this is just that kind of like re-verification of, right, I'm on target, bang. And if I'm trying to like really hit something very, very small, like a small adjustment, you know, if it's a target with like a tiny little dot in the middle, or I'm hitting like a moving target, this makes that a lot easier. So I like red dots on replicas and on real steel stuff, but if you like it, you may not want to spend $550. Next thing I put on here is the Streamlight TLR-8G. Now this is a flashlight and a green laser. I'll show you guys here. So you can see the flashlight there. If I show you this now here, in fact, what I'll do is I will switch that. So if I double tap the buttons on here, this basically is, right there, you can see the laser coming through, but this is like a pressure pad on both sides. There's one here and one here. Oh, one here. So I basically just have to indent press that and it's going to come on. I can cycle between these by pushing both at the same time. That is your flashlight and your green laser. That is just your flashlight, and that is your green laser, which I'm now reflecting into my face again, which isn't clever. But I really like this because I like having a laser, especially if I'm playing indoors. You can pick up your target without even using the red dot, which is great. You can see it in the daylight because actually green lasers are a lot easier to see in the daylight than red ones are. And the flashlight, again, if you're coming around a corner and there is someone there, that kind of blindingness, the kind of flashlight in the face that blinds them temporarily, that is really great. Again, it's something that I've put a $30 cover on the top of just to cover that lens. I think that would also get shot out, so it's worthwhile just doing that. The laser cover, I don't think you're really going to cover that. I don't think a BB is going to break it, but don't take my word for that. You have adjustments just here in terms of height. And what I will do is I'll actually normally stick my firearm into like a brace, and I'll have it against a target. I'll fire it, see where the laser is in relation to, you know, where the BB's hitting, and I'll adjust it. Sometimes I won't put it in a clamp or something to hold it stable, but I'll do that with my red dot and with my laser. I'll normally zero them together at about 15 feet. And then obviously they are coming from different bore heights, so it is going to vary. But generally, if I'm using my pistol close quarters, it doesn't need to be spot on. It's just I'll get it kind of as close to what I want it to be as possible. Obviously, I'll play with the hop up before that to make sure that it's in place and going that way. Price on this one, this is $250. Again, it's real steel, should hold zero if you're using it on a real Glock. You can get cheap ones. I wouldn't bother getting a cheap one, but you can get different versions of this, you know, just with a flashlight, like a TLR-1, I think it's about $150. You know, I love this one. It's very compact because it's such a small little pistol. I like having that. I have actually got my other Glock 45, which I'll do another video on. That's got a much bigger, sticks out the end. I run a suppressor on it, so it's better for that. But that one I use the TLR-1. That's just a flashlight. So, you know, not quite as functional, but I really like this little TL8RG, and as I said, that one is $250 with a $30 cap on the end. This is one of the things I've talked about and done another video of. These are called Talon Grips. Now you can stipple the actual grip on Glocks. I wouldn't really do that on an airsoft Glock, or I haven't seen people do that. You're just making tiny little indentations all around it to make the grip stronger. This is only $20. Now you can find these on Amazon. They're called Talon Grips. This is for the Glock 45 Gen 5. And obviously because it's the same dimensions as a real steel, you can get anything for a real steel in that regard that you want. And so with this, it's like an adhesive. So I've got another video on it if you guys want to go on the channel and look at it, but you can see the line here. It basically like is a sticker that wraps around, and then you're putting a heat gun over the top of it to kind of shrink wrap it to the actual pistol grip. The texture of this, the closest I can describe it to is it's almost like a skateboard. You know, the top of a skateboard there, the grip on a skateboard. It's just kind of perfect where it gives me enough resistance. So I'm wearing gloves especially. If I'm reaching down to my holster and I just kind of pick on it, it's going to pull it out either way. It's not hard to let go of. I'm obsessed with this. So if there's one update that you're going to do, just, you know, it's not expensive. Just try it out. If you don't like it, you can just peel it off. Those Talon grips, I really, really like them. This obviously being the 45 has a flared magwell, so it literally kind of runs the entire way down to there, and it just feels very, very comfortable. So that's another one that I've done. Another thing you can probably tell is this trigger is not your normal style trigger. This is actually the same company that do the slide called Bomber. And so this is actually $30. So you do need to kind of take it apart, play around with it to actually like replace the trigger in here. But I would say if you like the normal Glock trigger, I haven't got one here, but they are quite mushy. Like there's a longer play, like Glock's right here, that's kind of safe. You can see that the trigger has come out a bit there. On a normal Glock trigger, that's kind of sitting halfway, you know, halfway along here. This is an adjustable trigger. So I've got a little screw, a grub screw inside it, and I can choose how far out I want this to come. And this I have done so far that literally if I've got that there is no play before it's on the wall. So that is there, done. This is the little trigger safety here. So in that, if that isn't kind of indented in some way, that red piece, that is not going to fire. But so if I just push it on the black there, it won't. As soon as I touch the red, it's going to allow me the Glock's trigger safety, it's going to allow me to indent it, but I've got it to a point where it is like that, and I'll show you when I practice, or I'll show you firing in a second, but that just means that it is so snappy. The Glocks are snappy, but you are going to have that play to the wall on a regular Glock trigger. So $30 to put that in, I think is great, but you are going to have to take it apart, and I would say if you're going to do it, you may want to kind of, you know, be a little bit more comfortable with taking these apart and playing around with them. But there are tons and tons of videos out there on YouTube. You can watch a how-to and you can go through, this is how someone does it. You know, you can go step by step. So that, as I said, is $30. Again, I really like it because it changes the feel of the pistol a lot, but you may not like it. You know, you may want to just kind of stick with the regular Glock trigger. It does a great job anyway, so that's not that bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do quickly is talk through the internals of what I've done. There's only really two internal changes that I've done to this. One is the Unicorn hop-up chamber and barrel set. So basically that's your inner barrel, so it's not this, it's actually the barrel on the inside, that little silver thing you may be able to see. That's kind of like a thinner barrel in there. It's 86 millimeters, and that has got a screw adjustment for the hop up. And that one is $37. So it's basically just a better hop up unit that's going to press on the hop rubber to give it that backspin, and a better diameter inner barrel that's just going to let it perform better in terms of just consistency. So I've done that, and that's $37. Again, not hard to do. It's basically kind of just taking it out, you know, if you're changing the hop rubber. $37 for that, and then I've actually changed the rubber itself in there. That's $10. Again, I would say stock, this thing performs amazing. So really, you're just kind of fine-tuning, and it may end up being worse than what it was stock. So if you're not bothered about it, just leave it stock. But those are two internal changes that I've done. Last thing I'm going to talk about is this, which is the holster that I have. I really like Kydex holsters, and so because this is real steel dimensions, you can take any real steel Glock 45 holster and use it on this replica. So this one is actually by T.REX arms. It is, I think they call it their Ragnarok. Yeah, Ragnarok holster. And what is cool about this is you can find a lot of, it really will be a Glock 19 trigger, 19 holster, because it's a 19 upper, so it will just take a 19, you know, anything that takes a Glock 19, this will fit. However, most of the holsters are not going to fit with this, especially if it's a Kydex holster, because it is going to be molded to the pistol. Now, if you go on T.REX Arms' website, you can select which model Glock, which generation. This is a Gen 5 without any of the pistol grooves, finger grooves, and you can select which light you're using. So I've selected the TLR-8 by Streamlight. I've selected my Glock 45, and so I've got this, which is their Kydex holster. So you can adjust this with the screws here. I actually just run the top screw to kind of give it that play. But this is solid, and actually when I've got this onto my holster on the mount, sorry, I use Safariland. So that's going to click into like a little bracket which I have on my drop leg holster. I've got one of these for each of my pistols, so then I can just, if I'm wanting to run a different pistol, I can just take this, switch it out for the little bracket that's on there, which means instantly I don't have to, oh, I need to take this holster off my belt, change it for another holster. I can just push these little forks here, and that means that a Kydex holster like this is amazing because I can literally just keep this with my pistol. If I want to use my other Glock, which has a different light on it, if I want to use a completely different pistol like my Sandviper, I can just switch it out again. But this, I would say, look at them. If you're thinking I need a holster for my Glock or whatever replica you've got, this will take enough space for your red dot on there, and it will give you the locking mechanism, which is going to hold the actual Streamlight pistol or whatever light you're putting on there. So that one is $75. Again, expensive. So you can probably see I've spent an insane amount of money on this, which is why I don't know why I do these things, but this is why I've decided to talk through it. I really love this pistol. I actually, again, have something which has a tracer on it, another 45, which I use indoors. But any of these, you can use them indoors, you can use them outdoors. I've got some kills on this, which are very, very rangy. And it's not normally first shot, but because it's so consistent, I'll take a shot, I'll adjust, and then I'll normally get the kind of kill, if that's what you want to call it in airsoft, on my second or third shot just from readjusting. So I would definitely recommend this pistol. I think you can do tons and tons of stuff with it. Oh, I'm getting blocked out here. You can do tons and tons of stuff with it. It is, you know, it's a Glock platform, so there's so much stuff out there that you can do. So I would highly recommend it. I will show you quickly now just how it fires so you guys can see. It obviously has a slide lock platform. This is an empty mag. Green gas is what I've put in here. Take 17 mags, will not take 19s, will not take 26s because it's the full length grip. It's going to lock the slide there. It's got ambidextrous slide release on both sides. So I'm just going to push that down for you. I'll let it lock the slide. So that's what it's going to do there. And then if I hold down this, which I am doing with my thumb, I'll show you how snappy it is. And as you can see, that's right there. So I absolutely, and it'll just go and go and go. These mags are also great. These are the VFC Umarex Glock mags. They're about $40. So they're expensive, but I would say it's probably not worth skimping on the mags. If you buy, these will take any Glock mags. So you can buy very cheap $20 ones. The performance is not going to be as good. These have kind of a good valve knocker on them. A valve there, and your fill valve is under the plate, so if you're dropping them, it's going to probably break or it's going to damage the feed lips, but it does have some kind of protection where the valve is not sticking out, it is covered in some way. Easy to reload. You can just pull this down and you are dropping BBs directly in there. It'll fill up, so you can do that very, very quickly. When I run this, I normally have one in the replica. I'm just going to fire off the action on that. I have one in the replica and I actually have one on my battle belt. I used to run two, found out that I never really was using 2 mags plus like 3 mags on a pistol in a game when I had a primary. So that's what I did. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back with another video very soon. That is my Umarex VFC Glock 45 custom build. I've got another one and I've got a Sandviper and a few other pistols I'm going to go through soon. So hope you guys have a great day wherever you are, and I'll be back on the channel very, very soon. Goodbye.